What can we do to, as Mrs. LP say, increase domestic harmony in our homes? Okay, no matter where you live, foreign, domestic. Welcome to the Trigger Warning Talk podcast, where we have extensive, uncensored conversations. We exchange information and we provide so many resources for the listeners and the viewers of this international podcast. We're streaming on all platforms. You can watch the interviews in two places, Spotify and our YouTube channel, which is Penton Pending Consulting Solutions, LLC. I'm your Fire Medic CEO host, LP. We got a special guest in the building today. I'm so excited. I just want to jump in, dive in. We have the one, the only Miss Khadija Luis. She's going to tell you a little bit about who she is. But before we get to all of that, trigger warning, if you are triggered at any point during this podcast and you need help, immediately call 911 because we don't play when it comes to mental health. Okay, that's going to get you all the resources that you need right away. If you don't need immediate help, you're going to call this number. In the United States, it's toll-free 24/7, 988. 988, that's the crisis and suicide hotline, again, available 24/7, toll free here in the United States. Because we say, I came up with this quote, Ms. Khadija. I said, mental health crisis is the world's oldest continuous pandemic that's been around since the beginning of mankind. And it ain't going nowhere until we deal with the stigmas, taboos, stereotypes. We're going to continue to see all kind of bad and ugly. I'm going to continue to get these breaking news stories from a tactical EMS consultant perspective. What can we do to, as Mrs. LP say, increase domestic harmony in our homes? Okay, no matter where you live, foreign, domestic, and that's what you and I are going to be talking about. We're going to be covering the work that you do as a trained biologist. The title of this episode is Holistic Healing and Bioenergetics. Miss Khadija Luis, give us
Yes, sir.
1 minute resume on who you are, and then we're just going to jump into it because I got a bunch. I got one question with. Normally I say 27 parts, but Mrs. LP don't like me going that deep. She said 5 parts. Okay, keep it short.
Yes, right. I'll keep it short because if not, I'll be here for hours.
That's
how old I am. But briefly, I'm originally from Morocco, born and raised there. Graduated from college in biology, did microbiology, cellular biology. That's my passion, to understand the biology of this body. Worked in the pharmaceuticals, AstraZeneca, for over a decade until I got hit by the placebo effect. So I needed to understand what the placebo effect is. How can people, just by their belief, could heal themselves? So I understood that the answer is not in the synthetic drugs. And I pursued that for many, many years. That led me to study this physical body, this well-engineered body. So I thought it was in the brain, did some research in neuroscience. I studied the gut because 90% of neurotransmitters come from our gut. So thy medication is thy food. Thy food is thy medication. So and then there was the component of genetic to it because epigenetics has come since 1990s, thanks to the godfather of epigenetics, Dr. PhD Bruce Lipton, that our environment dictates our genes. And I was going through long years of studying the connection between all organs, between the body, the mind, the spirit. I graduated recently, like 2.5 years ago, from a 3-year course studying the whole thing, studying the energy behind it. What is the meridians? What are the meridians? What are the chakras? Why are they important in our healing? So briefly, I use the traditional background in medicine or biology and the energy to release blockages in our system so the energy can flow freely.
The reason that I titled this, and let me put it on the screen here. The show title for today is Holistic Healing, Bioenergetics. So let's talk about holistic healing. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because on the Trigger Warning Talk podcast, we cover 5 areas. We cover human and sex trafficking, sexually based offenses, true crime, domestic violence, And at the end of every episode, we do a missing person case. 99% of those cases are Black and brown folks because Mrs. LP is a true crime detective. I wanted to talk to you about the work that you do. I'm sure you have people that are clients or patients. What do you call them? Clients, patients? How do you define holistic healing first and foremost?
Holistic, there is a word holy in it. Mm-hmm. Holy means divine. Holy means a natural way of healing. So holistic means any way that can give this body an environment, conditions, fuel to go to homeostasis, to go to its original state. Because this body, there is millions, trillions of miracles happening every day in this physical body. The amount of the chemical reactions, the connections between the cells, the organs, everything is orchestrated, is being orchestrated like with a divine intervention. So for me, holistic means using the inner power, the God-given power, to reset this machine into to its original state.
Let's talk about homeostasis, because you brought that up. Define homeostasis.
Homeostasis is a state where the body knows what to do. It's in tune with nature, mm-hmm. and it becomes like going with the vibration of the environment. Homeostasis means the cell is in a state where it knows what to do. There is no interference. There is a few like bad signaling in the cell that can perturb it, that can disturb its functions. Okay. The ultimate homeostasis for me in my head is when we watch the bees. For example, the bees or birds. The bees, they are in tune with the field, that they know exactly where to go. They know what to do. They don't have meeting boards in the morning. They just know what to do according to the frequency of nature, of the field around them. That's the definition of homeostasis for me.
Bioenergetics. Please enlighten us on that.
Write that word in bio and energetics.
Bio is life.
That life, that's physical. Energetics is energy. How do we use energy to control our biochemistry? That's bioenergetics for me. Like there's so many different tools. There's so many different ways to use that energy to regulate our biochemistry. Yes.
Omniscension.com. So what does Omniscension mean?
Omniscension explains exactly how I work and what I want to put out there and my legacy once I'm not in this part of this earth. Omni comes from omni, omnipresent, it's everywhere, and ascension. My passion and my vision is to help people ascend in all aspects of their lives. That's why the ascension means evolution, means evolution in every different aspects of our lives. That's where omniscension comes from.
Omniscient, got it. You have on your site, real transformation happens when you stop treating symptoms and start addressing what's actually keeping you repeating the same cycles. It's about understanding how everything connects, your body, your mind, your relationships, and working with all of it. And you talk about a number of other things. Let's talk about clients that you may have had that have dealt with human and sex trafficking. Your thoughts and your approach to holistic healing, and what does your work do to help those survivors?
First of all, my heart goes to anybody or to any family that lived that or is living through that, because it is very traumatic.
Yes.
When this happens, your sovereignty is at risk. Your freedom, your God-given freedom is at risk. So I get emotional when I have come across somebody that has been in that situation or is going through that situation. Sex trafficking for me is inhuman. It goes against any moral, ethical way of being. It's not human. That's our first right, is our freedom, our sovereignty. And somebody, when they takes it away from us, it impacts this physical body. So when somebody comes to me for help because of traumatic event they went through or some loved one went through, of course, I feel the empathy and the sympathy, and I pour my heart out to help them because I know that's very traumatic and it can hit any part of the physical body. And I have seen few people that were affected by that, and they developed different diseases. And because of my background in unified integrative medicine, I know like every trauma hits a different side of the body according to our perception to it. That's why two siblings can live a tragic moment of losing a parent, and they perceive it differently, and it affects them differently. So I had people with problems that developed like diabetes right away because it hit their solar plexus chakra and it hit their pancreas. I had people that had cysts in the ovaries, girls, because of the sexual abuse or the fear of being impregnated while being abused. It impacts the body in so many different ways. Bioenergetics, like I said, is restoring the flow of the energy in the body through different mechanisms the breath work, the food, the trauma healing, all of it goes inside the bioenergetics.
As a practicing metaphysician, because that's what you are, you're a metaphysician.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go into that a little bit more.
Sure.
I like doing scenarios. Let's say I am a person, because anybody can be trafficked. Fill in the blank, doesn't matter how you live, where you live, how you vote, your gender, your ethnicity, all this stuff. Let's say me, I identify as a guy, that's my pronouns. I was trafficked. Hypothetically speaking, I come to you because I did a Google search on, I want some metaphysical healing because I have a therapist and they're helping me with that. But, I really want to get more in tune with my mind. And I want to do something where I'm not just throwing some medication and all this stuff. Medication has its place, but, everybody doesn't need it. And just laying on somebody's couch for 45 minutes doing a Q&A does not always help. There's so many metaphysical forms of therapy. You have hypnotherapy, you have Reiki, you have the EFT, the tapping. You're doing holistic therapy. I come to you and I say, Ms. Lewis, here's my story. How can you help me help myself?
First of all, when you come in, I have to evaluate your physical state and mental, because I need to know if that trauma had caused a disease, had caused anything that requires a medical intervention. Because I could never replace a physician. If there is a life-threatening situation, if there is an organ that's going so deep into decay, we need to intervene with conventional medicine. We can't live with it.
Thank you for saying that.
We can't, okay? Once we go through that, because we need to save life first, then we can thrive.
I want you to hold right there.
Yes.
I'm an ACEs ambassador. So we always talk about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. You said you want to know in your initial consultation with me and assessment, you want to talk about disease, and on the ACEs pyramid, second level talks about disease and disability and social problems. Okay, you can download this ACEs pyramid on the CDC's website. Go to cdc.gov and in the search box you can type in ACEs pyramid. I want you to keep going because I'm going to keep referring to this ACEs pyramid because, see, people don't understand how ACEs works. They think, oh, well, maybe I didn't have a lot of stuff that happened directly to me in my childhood. Some people that did, and it had some effect on you. Please keep going.
Definitely. So, the first step is to make sure we're not in danger. We're not going to get completely sick, okay? We need to reestablish, give the body that level of vitality to fight whatever it is. Then my specialty is vitality, because I know that vitality is the key to a healthy body. We're not talking about the mental state right now. We're just focusing on the physical body.
Okay, the physiological. Okay, gotcha.
Physiological. We need to get it out of danger, raise its vitality, then we go to the emotional state. These are the steps that I use every single time. First,
let's keep it simple. Okay, because when you use terms, people may not understand what you mean. So when you say And right behind you, so for all of our listeners, we want you to continue to listen on whatever platform you like. You can watch these interviews in two places, our company name YouTube channel and Spotify. Behind her, she has her Omniscension sign, and it says the biology of vitality. How do you define vitality and incorporate it in this initial assessment?
Yes. I'm going to try to explain it really simply because it's that simple, at least to me. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's think of a cell.
Okay.
Because once we understand how the cell works, we can apply it on all the physical body. Because
Can I add to that?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
See, when you start talking medicine, that goosebumps come on, okay? Because I'm a paramedic and a firefighter, okay? Even though I'm retired from both, I love talking about anything medical, anything medicine, because this is the practice of medicine. You're a practitioner, clinician, so am I. So,
yes,
when we talk about the body, and there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yep,
Okay?
absolutely.
So, the body's comprised of cells. Cells make tissues, tissues make organs, organs make the organism that we call the body.
Absolutely.
Anything that interferes in that function, you're going to have death at the cellular level, and then it's going to cascade. It's going to have a domino effect or snowball effect, however you want to call it. We don't give a shit. Call it whatever you want, because we use adult language sometimes on here, so you're free to do so. Okay, we don't censor. Okay. Go right ahead. So,
okay, thank you for clarifying that. So once we understand the cell and just the thought of us having between 50 to 100 trillion cells is mind-blowing in this physical body. Seriously, that's a miracle right there. So to understand the body, we're going to talk about the cell. So the cell is a being. The cell breathes, eats, reproduces, and dies. So it's a being on its own. Once we understand how it functions, then we can give it the right fuel so it keeps. And we know that the body is an electromagnetic physical being. So let's talk about the electricity, because literally we have voltage in every cell of our body. We have electricity, and the proof is when we go do an EKG or ECG, we have a current, literally like a current. So that's the part I'm talking about right now.
And the EKG, for those that don't understand what it means, it stands for electrocardiogram. It is basically, as I define it, it's a seismograph for the heart. And as a paramedic, we were trained to interpret every EKG known to man. So we're junior cardiologists. I say that because I want to make sure that people understand the science or the why. We're not just book people. We want to tell you, we're telling you the why. Please continue.
So that proves we have electricity running down our body, literally. So every cell has a voltage. Once we keep the voltage above a threshold, that's the amount of vitality the cell needs to function normally and not go into decay. That's that simple. So we have a cell that reaches minus 36 millivolt, but a healthy cell has between minus 70 and minus 90 millivolt.
Okay.
Once it drops because of a stimulus of any sort, it keeps dropping. Once it drops below minus 36 millivolt, now we have to intervene because the cell is struggling. It needs help. It needs fuel. And once we know what the cell feeds off, then we can understand how to heal holistically to prevent getting into that disease state. So it's simply the cell feeds off oxygen, water, food, and then signaling, emotion. In this or not in this order. This first three are in the same order because we can go 40 days without food, 7 days without water, but we can't go more than 3-4 minutes, if sometimes 5 if we're a professional diver. So that's the first necessity. And that's the first step in the bioenergetics. When you asked me earlier, breathing and breath work is mandatory, is like life, like our life depends on it. Without breath, we die. So breathing correctly, breathing through the diaphragm keeps the body healthy, gets the oxygen to the deep tissues and to the brain, and it triggers, and that's a talk for later, the parasympathetic nervous system that gives us the calmness and the relaxation. So that's the first step, is the breath work. Second step is water. We want to know how to ionize our water so we can give, remember the voltage in the cell? We want to increase it. We want to keep giving it electrons so it could work with ease. In third place, we have the food. The food, we have to focus on food that's live, not empty calories. Because once we take empty calories, the body actually wastes energy to process it, to understand it, to see what it is. What do I do with this? I don't understand it because it's dead. So we waste energy, and it takes it from vital organs to process that food so it could see what does it take out of it. Does it have nutrients? Does it have vitamins? Does it have minerals? So these three are the essentials. The biggest one when it comes to survivals of sex trafficking is huge. And I want to stop here to mention that the emotional part of it is humongous. We can take care of these three, but if we're not okay emotionally, that drains our vitality. And that gets the body to go into a distress. Now that we understand how the cell works, we can apply it to the whole body. What I can add from my unified integrative medicine is that every trauma has an address in our physical body. And now we know that if we have a trauma, if we go through a trauma, our perception decides its impact our physical body. If it's something I can't digest, I'm expecting it, but I'm not digesting it, it's gonna give me digestive problems. And everything has to go through the chakras, the meridians, so we can understand how to deal with traumas.
On the ACEs pyramid, the next level underneath disease, disability, and social problems is adoption of health risks, behaviors. Okay.
Behaviors. Yep.
And you were talking about that. Let's say you have someone who identifies as a female. She tells you that she has ovarian cysts. She does not know if that is a thing that got passed down genetically from her side of the family or their side of the family. She's been trafficked. How do you help her? There's a surgical procedure that has to take place to get rid of those things. How do you add to that healing?
Yes, thank you for asking that, because it's very common, especially with sexual abuse. Lots of girls around the world have been sexually abused in silence, and they don't even talk because it's taboo, because they don't want to cause problems, because they will be like, nobody will believe them, or they will be beaten up. So many different reasons, and I feel for them because I know what they go through. When it comes to ovary cysts, because of my unified integrative medicine, I could say for almost sure that there is a fear behind it. Abuse is traumatic, yes, but the biggest thing is the fear of getting pregnant from the abuse. That's why the cysts get so in disturbance, they get so out of harmony, the cells start going crazy, like over dividing, over multiplying, and then we have the cyst is trying to block the ovum from coming down so the girl doesn't get pregnant. And that's the trauma we address, so we can make the body feel at ease, safe again, so the girl can heal from that trauma of being afraid of getting pregnant from the abuse. The vitality gets back up into her ovaries, and the cycle becomes normal.
Is that something that in your practice it absolutely has to be removed surgically, or does your healing help remove that without surgery?
Here is another fundamental information from my last Unified Integrative Medicine course. Mm-hmm. That everything in life goes through 4 phases.
4 phases.
4 phases. You can apply it on the part. If you see the AKG, you see the excitation, expansion, contraction, relaxation. 4 phases. When a woman gets pregnant, there's excitation. The cells are multiplied. There is expansion. Then there is contraction, and then relaxation. Everything in life, even on the universe, everything is subject to these 4 phases. So once we know the state of the cyst, we know what phase was it blocked in. Is it the first phase of excitation? Is it the phase where it's still expanding? Is it contracting? Or is it that's it. It drained all its energy and it's going towards cancer, unfortunately. The intervention has to be decided according to the state of the cyst, that the doctor can decide, can evaluate the cyst and see if it's removable or if it's curable.
Let's jump to another topic.
Yes.
Of trauma. And let me just do a quick reset. This is the Trigger Warning Talk podcast. We are produced by my company, Pending Consulting Solutions, LLC. Please reach out to us. Our email information is in the show notes for every guest that wants to appear, because we were talking about uncensored conversations. We're talking about sexually based offenses. We're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about human and sex trafficking. We're talking about true crime. And we're going to do a missing person case as we wrap up every episode of this podcast. Let's jump into domestic violence. Same scenario. I'm a person who is the offender, or I am on the receiving end of domestic violence, because men, or those that identify as such, can be either or. I've interviewed a guy who talked about being an offender before. When I interviewed our brother, Mr. EA, he talked about a situation where he was the offender.
I abused women based on what I saw my mother do to my father. I felt like I had to pay women back for what my father went through, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And he laid it all out, and I didn't know anything about it. You know, it wasn't no question I had thrown at him. I didn't know anything about that incident or anything like that. And his candor and his honesty, it blew me away, and it touched me how he dealt with that situation and how he's still dealing with that situation. How do you help people who are survivors or people that have perpetrated acts of domestic violence from a holistic healing perspective?
You mentioned the two scenarios, the one that gets the violence and the one that does it, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, because they both have traumas.
That's right.
Yeah, imagine a scenario where a woman is trapped in a relationship where she's abused physically, mentally, energetically, psychologically, in all aspects, right? When they decide finally to seek help, that's a good step for me, because most of them, and we know that a lot of people get accustomed or they get used to that situation and they don't even believe they're worthy enough to try to get out of it. So they live with it until they die. There's a lot of them. The ones that take the step to go seek healing means that something has happened within them to remember that they matter, to remember that they're worthy enough to go and cry out loud, say, I am in this bad situation and I need help to get out of it. Okay. Those people, yes, they finally woke up to their worth. They finally woke up to their rights, and they are trying to get the help. So I do whatever I can to see where is the unworthiness coming from? Where is the miscommunication with the supposed partner is coming from? Sometimes people don't know how to live together, even though they love each other, but they can't stand each other.
That's a great point. Say it with your chest, Miss Khadija.
Yes.
When we talk about DV, you know, just because that's your boo, it does not mean that you all are meant to be together for many reasons. It's no judgment, no shame. We just got to be honest with each other. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because I don't hear a lot of providers and clinicians and practitioners being honest about that. It's like, oh, well, this is my boo, and I'm just trying to make sure that they are my soulmate, my assignment, or whatever the hell they want to call it, whatever, you know, they want to add to that description of that person or their relationship. You know, sometimes you might have to be like, nah, dog.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, people love each other, but they can't communicate. They can't coexist together. And that creates a lot of pain in both sides and blame. So all they do is
pain and blame. Okay.
Pain and blame, because they point fingers at each other. I want you to change for me to feel accepted or loved. I don't work on me, but I want you to change. And there is a lot of conflicts that could be avoided just by accepting the other. knowing how to be like, I do something else because I work with couples, but separately.
Okay.
And there is something we do in this course, which is the human code. Each one of us, according to the elements, fire, air, water, earth, and the proportions, I can determine the temperament of each one. So I tell the woman, your husband is like, let's say, a manager. Manager has male energy, high male energy. He doesn't deal a lot with emotions. He needs facts. He needs to, give it to me straight. Give me what to do and I'll do it. The woman, on the other hand, if she's a romantic, because she has a lot of water, she's very emotional. She wants him to be romantic. She wants him to be sensitive, and he's not. So he's on fire, she's on water, and each one of them wants the other one to change so they can meet.
Okay.
Once you understand your partner, once you understand their strength and their weakness, you can focus on the strength and love them more for that to make your life easier. So, and women, this is my message to every woman that could hear us. Please be the woman that deserves the men. Embrace your femininity, embrace your sensitivity, embrace your creative energy so the men can protect you and provide for you, because that's what nature is about. A woman being the nurturer, the giver, and the man is the protector and the provider. Once we understand how to play with this, we can live happily ever after.
I'm so glad I met you. I got stories. Okay. I'm gonna get to that a little later on, okay? Because I want to keep it going. Let's talk about, because I interviewed another gentleman. He did not want to be on camera, but it was still recorded like we're doing it. So it's always available audio. You saw me on camera and I had his picture up. Okay. He is a survivor of domestic violence in one or more relationships that he's been in. And he's a younger guy. And he really went into his life story about being a survivor as a male from a female from domestic violence. I presume the conversation is a little different. Same approach, but a little different, because most of the time, and historically speaking, it's been women, and it's still like that. More women are victims of DV than men, but that number is starting to balance out. How would you help, quote unquote, me if that's me?
If that's you suffering from domestic violence, I would tell you, you inverted the roles. She's the male, you're the female. I'm sorry, this is not...
I get what you're saying. No.
Being a woman is not disrespectful. Come on.
I got what you're saying. Yeah.
In a couple, there is yin yang. In every one of us, there is yin yang. There's male and female. We can't exist without this polarity, right?
That's right.
But in a home, you have the man, and you have the woman, the wife. The man has a lot more. He's like a tornado. Literally, when we study the male energy, it spins from inside out. The vortex goes from inside to the periphery. The water element, which is female, is from the periphery to the center. That's why the woman is receiving and the man is giving. That's nature. Even our sexual organs are designed that way. Women receive, men give. So if those roles are inverted at home, there is a problem. Either you have an energy imbalance, or you have a trauma where you have to be a people pleaser at all costs, and you don't see your worth. You just get, like, you become happy in your misery. You get abused, and you start getting used to it, and it becomes your normal. So my work with the abuser is, first of all, get rid of the abuser, not the abusee. The abuser has anger issues all the time, from what I've seen. They have anger issues that are not processed, that are coming from the gallbladder, because the anger is stored in our gallbladder.
Really?
That's why the Incredible Hulk, he turns green when he gets upset.
All you Marvel comic lovers, see, that's why I bring educated black women, black and brown women on this podcast. See, I am so sick and tired of y'all getting disrespected, because the knowledge I've never heard somebody say that.
Thank you. I love to share
And I
this.
forgot about that. That's why he turned green.
That's why it turns green. It's the bile.
The bile.
Was green. So that everything, and in Arabic we say somebody blew my bladder, my gallbladder.
Okay.
Literally, like, so I'm so upset I can blow up my gallbladder. In our expression every day.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the abuser, they have anger issues that are coming from fear. Remember, in the universe, there's only love and fear. Every negative emotion, when you break it down to the sponsoring, like Neil Walsh says, the sponsoring thought of the sponsoring thought of the sponsoring thought. There's always fear behind any negative emotion. So once we figure out what is he angry about, because he can't be angry at somebody else if he doesn't have anger inside of him. I love Wayne Dyer and all his books and sayings. He says, if you squeeze an orange, you don't expect cranberry juice. You get orange juice, correct? So an angry person has anger inside them. That's where we take care of. Then the self-worth, then the peace and the calmness. The relationship gets fixed, if it's fixable.
This is all under the umbrella of homeostasis.
Exactly.
Everything that you're talking about, the yin and the yang, and this can be for any couple. You know, we don't do bias on here. You know, you love who you love, and we know that there are couples that are part of the LGBTQ who are Democrats, who are Republicans, who
we don't care. We're all human.
We don't care. We're all human beings. You know what I always say? Because I always talk about humanity, and then we're gonna get to the last two things. Okay?
Yes.
Here's what I say about humanity, because I'm a big advocate for humanity, for humans. I say, you know what? If you want to level the playing field with human beings, think of it from this perspective. I like to make it real simple. If I needed a kidney, Miss Metaphysician, if I needed a kidney, I need one human being that meets two criteria. A willing donor who's a match. Yes. It don't matter if it's an Asian woman. It doesn't matter if it's a person from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It doesn't matter if they're from Denmark or Greenland or Iceland or wherever on the planet. Yep. I ain't getting it from a goat. I ain't getting it from a giraffe. I'm getting it from one other human being who meets two criteria. Okay, a willing donor who's a match.
Absolutely.
If we focus on humanity from that perspective, to me, the rest is easy. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all on this big blue marble. The earth is 75% of the earth is water. We make up the 25%, the land and the people. So where are we going? All this conflict, life has conflict. I say life is shit, but then you got to deal with bullshit, and you shouldn't have to deal with bullshit. I want you to tell me, what do you think about that humanity?
Once we really understand a little bit of quantum physics, we realize that we're actually anything in the universe, everything that transitioned from antimatter to matter is only 4%.
Okay, say it again.
Anything that you see in the universe, all the galaxies, stars, the planets, including us, everything that transitioned from antimatter to matter is only 4% of what it is. So imagine humans on this planet in this vast trillions and trillions of galaxies, and we take ourselves too seriously.
Like we are that in a bag of cheese now. It's like, man, if you think that...
You just reminded me, because it does not matter where we came from, what language we speak, what color of our skin, what's our orientation, what's our gender. Like you said, when you need a kidney, that kidney inside doesn't care about the rest. It does its job. It's like the sun shining on everybody unconditionally. It doesn't say, you're mean, I'm not going to shine on you. No, the gift is for everybody. Yes, all that matters is humans. We are all the same. When you break it down to the atom, it's all the same freaking thing.
There's a rapper named KRS-One from the hip hop group Boogie Down Productions. He had a song He has a song out that came out years ago called HEAL, and it was an acronym. It stands for Human Education Against Lies.
Oh, love it.
And there was a book that I'm gonna have to reach out to him because I never got my book. It was a book called Science versus Technology that you could write in, and I never received it, so I'm gonna have to reach out to him. I say that because one of the bars in that song, HEAL, Human Education Against Lies, he says, "Before you are color, first you're human. Teaching humanity is what we're doing." Now this came out in the early 90s, and I never forgot that because I always think about humanity. Me being a first responder, paramedic, firefighter, you know, we took the same oath I took. First, do no harm. Bring them no Saturday. When we think about that, I've had a patient once when I was in medic school. Let me just tell you this real quick. This guy was an older white guy. He was in severe respiratory distress. I mean, he was breathing like 50 times a minute.
Wow.
On an average, the adult breathes 6 to 12 times a minute, okay? Children and infants, 12 to 20 times a minute, okay? This dude came in breathing. Like, you could hear him as he came through the ER breathing. That's how hard and fast he was breathing. All his vitals are all jacked up. I'm the only black person in the ER working from a medical perspective. I was doing my clinical. It was a 12-hour clinic. The nurse says, "Hey, I want you to give him a breathing treatment. I want you to give him a corticosteroid through the, you know, you're going to start IV on the guy, checking his vitals every 5 minutes until his vitals start to level out." He got tats all over him and all this stuff. And this dude was like, I'm like, "Hey, sir, my name is LP. I'm a paramedic student. I'm going to be helping you today. Feel better." He was like, "Oh, okay. I'm just really having trouble breathing. Please forgive me." I'm like, "Sir, no, don't even talk. Okay, I don't want you to talk. I just want you to take some slow, deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. I need to start an IV on it." Okay, I put him on the blood pressure cuff, pulse ox, all of this stuff, whatever. When I went to do the IV, I normally start with the hands because I could tell he had some big hands and he had some great veins. Because when you're a paramedic, I can tell a vein from 50 feet away. Okay, so I'm like, yeah, I'm getting ready to do this. He got a bunch of ink on there. That kind of makes it more pronounced for me, whatever. I go to start an IV on this dude's left hand. He has a big ass swastika right here. I mean, it was huge. I couldn't tell what it was because he had other attacks on his hands that, you know, I was just like, man, that couldn't tell what it was. I just knew it was a big tat or whatever. I go to do this and I'm pulling the skin because I got I have the alcohol wipe, you know, aseptic techniques, cleaning the skin, okay? And I'm wiping and I'm like, as I'm wiping the skin, I'm like, oh shit. Now this is me talking to myself, okay? Yeah. He's still breathing 100 times a minute and he's looking at me, I'm looking at him as I'm doing this aseptic cleaning and I get the needle, got it all prepped and all this stuff, got the flash, you know, got the needle in, got the catheter in, got it all set up, flushed it, connecting them to everything, started giving them breathing treatment, gave him corticosteroid, his vitals started normalize. Okay, he went from 50 times a minute to like 40 something to like 30 something. You know, after about 15 minutes, he was probably about 20 times a minute. Okay, another 30 minutes, he was about 16 times a minute. Okay, they was like, we're gonna monitor him for another 2 hours, but you're gonna check his vitals every 20 minutes. Because I had other rounds to do. When it was all over and said and done, he and I had a great conversation because they had discharged him after 4 hours. He says this happens to him kind of regularly. He was waiting on his doctor's appointment, his pulmonologist. He was going to put him on some different medications and stuff. But until that happened, he was like, if you need to go to the hospital, just go. I say that because as I'm taking everything off, he was thanking me because now he can talk regularly. He had a whole comment. He was thanking me. He never asked, hey, I want to see somebody else. I don't want you touching me. Because I don't know what this whole man's history is. I know I saw that big fucking swastika on his, and I was like, oh shit. He never said, don't touch me. I need another person. Get out of here. None of this stuff. Matter of fact, we was having all kind of small talk, whatever. And I thought, damn, whatever his life story is, it ain't that no more. It ain't that no more.
No, of course not, because it was slipping away from him.
You know, it makes me think about this episode of The Jeffersons that came out some years ago. They had this, there was a older white man and his younger son, he was an adult. They moved into their apartment building, and this dude was super racist. And so they had an HOA meeting at the condo, and the older guy went into cardiac arrest. Everybody's panicking. George was like, I know CPR. Starts doing CPR on the dude, including doing mouth to mouth on this guy.
Did he call Louise? No, Wheezy?
No. So George is doing CPR on this guy. Weezy's not even down. I don't know what she was or whatever. And he gets ROS. He gets return of spontaneous circulation on the guy. Gets the guy back alive. The guy's all groggy and stuff. EMS shows up. They put him on a stretcher. He kind of wakes up and he sees his son. His son is standing right there holding his hand and getting ready to walk him out, go with them to the hospital. And the guy was like, "Oh, thank you, son, for saving my life." He was like, "Dad, it wasn't me. It was Mr. Jefferson. He saved your life." He looked at George. He looked at his son. Then looked at his George again. Then looked at his son. He said, "You should have just let me die." And I was like, so when we talk about humanity, when we talk about humanity, it just blows me away sometimes how ignorant people can be. Intentionally ignorant, because we're all ignorant, okay? We don't know everything. The intentional ignorant, especially when it comes to humanity, really just bothers. Last two things. Let's talk about, so you did cover some of the sexual-based offenses. Let's talk about the true crime aspect. Let's say I'm the person who I want to report this domestic violence that I've been experiencing. Let's say I'm a parent and my partner has done something that I need to call CPS about, because you and I are mandated reporters. But if you're not licensed, you're not legally a mandated reporter per se. But if you're a caregiver or a parent, you're still supposed to report those things for elder and child abuse. What do you say to your clients who report elder or child abuse in terms of true crimes? How do you deal with that as a mandated report? Because I call every time.
You call every
Nobody
time.
can make me not call, because by law you got to call. That's your license.
Yeah, I had a case where somebody had to, when you call for help, when you call to take somebody to get evaluated, sometimes they hold them for 72 hours for evaluation.
Oh, you're just talking about, 72-hour hold. So what happens is, here in the U.S., if somebody, let's say somebody said, "Hey, I've been having suicidal thoughts," your ass is going to the hospital. Okay,
yes.
You ain't gonna be able to refuse, because once you say it out loud, it's already in the air. Somebody heard you and they called 911. Because I had to do that with a patient one time who was at her doctor's office, and he gave her just a scenario. She was like, "Well, if I was going to kill myself, I would do it this way." He called 911. I was like, it was you answered the scenario. And we talked to the attending physician. He was like, "You know what? Just bring her in. We want to cut CYA. We just want to CYA." Okay. Yeah. Even though that lady was pissed with a capital piss. Anyway. So it's called, you can get up to it depends. It depends on the severity of the issue. It could be up to a 96-hour hold.
When somebody feel that somebody is in danger or is putting somebody else in danger, I think my duty, not even legally, my duty as a human to protect lives is to report them, period. Now, have
you gotten any flack for that?
I haven't been put in that situation. Seriously. Okay. I've been in the US long enough, but I haven't had that situation where I really have to take this action, because people, when they come to me, they know they're coming for help. They're already receptive to the help. They're already tried medication, tried depression medication, tried, the conventional medicine, and somebody tells them, there is another way, go explore it. So they're not in their violent state because they're coming willingly. Like you say, you can lead a horse to water, but can't make it drink. Once the horse starts drinking, means he's thirsty. So when they come asking for help, then yes, I could see where I can help them in the ways I do, because I know even depression, the key to fight depression is vitality, believe it or not. Because and then the microbiome, once you have your vital energy going, once you have the gut balance, like the right bacteria, the microbiome is the flora we have in our gut for our listeners. Once we balance that, the chemicals that the brain uses are healthy. So even the thoughts are healthier. So I work with them in an easy, loving way to see their potential, so they can get off medication. But if I'm saying it online, in the open, if I see somebody that is putting themselves in danger or somebody else in danger, I have to report them.
Gotta report it. And this is for all the listeners and the viewers. Okay, if you are a licensed clinician, practitioner, provider, healthcare provider, you are mandated You are mandated by the state that you're licensed in to report child and elder abuse. Your
Yeah.
supervisor can't tell you can't do it. They may say, hey, can you wait till the end of your shift or something like that or whatever? Cool. Because that happened to me before on a EMS call. They can't tell you you can't call. They can't make you not call. That's
Yes.
your license. That's your certification that's on the line if you don't. And if something happens to that child or that kid adversely, and up to and including death, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Serious. Yeah, we don't play with that.
we
No.
don't play with that. Now in St. Louis, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. We call it hotline. Most people call it CPS, Child Protective Service. Tomato.
Yeah.
And I've done it. And I don't take that lightly. Matter of fact, one of my long-term favorite partners, she not only is an EMT and she's a supervisor for the state that we were working in as a child protective services supervisor. And we talked about these things all the time. He was like, hey, you need to make sure. I'm like, thank you. Hey, make sure that you add this document, because if it ain't documented, it ain't done, right, Ms. Lewis? Okay, so we're gonna make sure all of our I's are dotted, all of our T's are crossed. We're gonna make sure that if you gotta write a damn dissertation, then you write a damn dissertation. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. That's
I
it.
never had a problem from that point. The last thing that you and I are gonna talk about is modalities. Because we always end in modalities. I don't like just talking about shit and then like, okay, how do we fix it? And like, oh well, and it's like a 2-second conversation. No, hey, modalities. How do we deal with this? How is your therapy or your therapeutic sessions structured? Talk to us about your business.
Omniscension is my way of helping people with anything they're struggling with, either physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional. Like I said, I start with the evaluation of their physical state. I do an assessment. I define their level of vitality versus stress to see where they are. Then we have a plan to work together to restore the vitality, heal whatever we could heal, and then we start releasing traumas, because that's where I really, really see amazing results. I had to study the energy, because everybody is like an energy. I'm like, I needed to know what it is. I needed to understand what this energy everybody's talking about is. So I studied basics. I'm not a physician, but I studied the basics of quantum physics to the level of the atom to see what is the atom made of. When you go to the nucleus, you see electrons, protons, neutrons. What are they made of? What are they made of? I needed to understand. Once I understood that every electron and every proton is made of quarks, the smallest of particle in the universe, I understood how they work. Just to make the long story short. Once we understand the energy, we understand what are the chakras, the wheel of energy that are connected to our glands, and glands are responsible for hormones. Hormones are responsible for regulating our biochemistry and our physical body. There is another thing that I was fascinated with is the meridians, like the Chinese medicine. Why do people go do acupuncture and they feel better? What happens when they stick a needle in a specific pressure point? I needed to understand that. So I studied the chakras and the meridians. The physical body has 12 on each side, 12 meridians on the right and 12 on the left. And the meridians are just like rivers of energy that connect different parts of the physical body.
Now, is this similar to dermatomes?
I don't know what that is.
In EMS, when we are checking somebody who may have numbness or tingling sensations, or maybe because of a spinal injury, the body has all these dermatomes. It's basically where you can take some, like a pen, and like just point different parts. Hey, do you feel anything here? Okay. And then wherever you start feeling that pain from that pinprick, we'll mark it down. Okay. We'll start at the feet. Okay. We're going to poke, ow, ow. Okay. We'll check the body, especially if they say, I don't have sensation from my left shoulder down to my elbow. Okay. We'll check the dermatomes in there, or my right toe all the way up to my right hip. Okay. So we'll just take something in a pen, or it don't have to be a stick pen, but anything that can just kind of do a poke that will make your nerve either react or not. So it's called dermatome. So it sounds like it's similar.
It's not the same. That's different than the meridians, and explain why. what you described is going through the nervous system, the nerves, veins, and arteries to see if there is a sensation. In the meridians, there's just photons going through the meridians. It's not physical, it's energetic.
It's energy, not
Not,
it's sensation, but it's energy.
It's energetic. Yes.
Gotcha.
There's just a flow of energy which is photons full of information. Like the lung meridian starts from here and goes all the way to the thumb, and that explains why some children suck their thumb, because the ending of the meridian is here, and that is related to fear of abandonment. So
now,
if
wait.
Okay.
I used to be a thumb sucker for years. My right thumb.
Right.
My right thumb. Matter of fact, I used to have like in my skin on my thumb, like right here, like right under the knuckle, I had like this deep indentation from my tooth. It caused me to have like a slight overbite from sucking my thumb.
Yes.
And it took years for that to go away. Like you can't even tell now that I used to be a thumb sucker or whatever. But you say that's from a fear of abandonment?
Yes. If it's the right thumb, is fear of abandonment from a father, a brother, a grandfather, a male figure.
My dad ghosted me. My mom raised me. We gotta talk. Look, I'm gonna have to have you come back, okay? I'm gonna have to have you come
back. I'm
okay.
Saying this is a map, energetic map to the body. If it's the left, it's fear of abandonment from the mother.
And
mother,
right,
and grandma, yes. But the right, anything that happens in the right side of our body is related to a male trauma. Anything that happens in the left body is related to the female trauma, either a mother, a sister, even a teacher, a friend, a neighbor, anything. So, and when we go to the meridian chart, you see it. I have the chart here. You see it starts here and it goes. I'll pull it out. It's right here behind my computer. The chart of the meridians.
Hold on, let me change the screen setting so we can see the whole thing.
You see here, this is the lung meridian. It starts because there's one underneath that's not visible or not. We don't put pressure points on them because they are inner the lung, and there's one that we can work with. It starts here and it goes all the way to the thumb.
Move it over towards your left cheek. There you go. So it goes from I see it. Gotcha.
It goes right all the way here, and it's identical on the right and the left. If you see the left thumb, it ends here as well. It starts from here and it goes all the way through.
OMG.
Yeah.
You know what? You definitely got to come back.
I will.
We got to jump into that one. You know, hey, I'm not above reproach. Okay, I have a therapist. I don't have a problem talking about my story, my share. We just did we got an interview that's coming out probably next month, where one of my friends who is a guest on the podcast here in the Trigger One Talk podcast. Her name is Simone A. Nofel. She's a board certified behavior analyst. She is an applied epigeneticist, and she does a whole bunch of things from a metaphysical perspective, especially with women in womb healing and all kind of stuff. She interviewed me recently, and we're doing the editing right now. And I talked about my dad who did not raise me, who I'm just going, hey, y'all watch the interview. But yeah, I sucked my thumb for years. I think I stopped probably maybe 13, probably about 13, like right before high school. I want to put a pin in right there because otherwise we're going to be here for 3 hours, okay? I'm going to come back and we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to make this an ongoing series because I just wanted to have people know who you are, have them, for all the viewers, look above, and there's a QR code that takes you to Khadija's link tree, okay? Her website is omniscension.com, OMNISCENTION.com. ENSION.com, Omniscension.com. I'll have her link to her website in the show notes, and I'll have all that information in there. But again, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you right to her website. You know, Omniscension, the Biology of Vitality with the biologist Khadija Luis. Here's a case that I just got from Mrs. LP concerning a Greensboro, North Carolina young woman, biracial. Her name is Marissa Carmichael. This comes from YouTube. Their YouTube channel is Fox8WGHP. Check this story out.
She's got to be found, and I got to get justice for her.
Now, the pain is still fresh for the family of Marissa Carmichael. It's now been nearly 2 years since she disappeared from a Greensboro gas station, leaving them still asking what happened.
Yeah, that's the question police are still trying to answer. Fox 8's Celeste Smith sat down with her family today and joins us now live in Greensboro. Celeste, how are they working to bring attention to this case?
Well, Marissa Carmichael's mother and sisters say that keeping her name out there is key in making sure people know that this investigation is still ongoing and that they want to keep it fresh in their minds. But they say even after 2 years, they believe someone has information that could lead to her being found.
I'm praying for her a safe return.
A family still waiting. 25-year-old Marissa Carmichael was last seen January 14, 2024 at an Exxon on East Market Street in Greensboro. Just before 4 a.m., she called 911 to report her phone had been stolen and she'd been left at the gas station. When police arrived around 20 minutes later, she was gone.
I talked to the detective yesterday and he said there's so many cyber tips, so many to Crime Stoppers he has to file through. Right now he's currently going through a bunch of tips that people gave. It's just process of elimination.
Marissa's family says the loss shows up in everyday life, especially for her 5 children.
Her kids, all the stuff with her kids. There's so many things, graduations and sporting events, holidays, birthdays. Just when we're with them, her presence is so felt.
Her absence is felt deeply.
My eldest niece had a little picture at Thanksgiving, sat at the table with the picture as if, mommy's here. At least I can look over and see mommy. Even though she's not here, I can still see her.
Marissa would be 27 years old now. Her family says stories about her energy, generosity, and love, they hope others will soon come to know through a new book highlighting missing person cases in North Carolina, which will include a chapter dedicated to Marissa's life.
I'm hoping once that comes out, people read that, start connecting more, oh, she's a mother, she's a daughter, more than just Marissa Carmichael, Mama 5.
Basically what I did was, when I worked with the writer of the book, is going over how from when she was born, her whole life. So basically when you read that chapter, you feel like you know her. You get a sense of who she is.
I reached out to Greensboro Police about this case, and a spokesperson says that while there is no public update yet at this time, this is an active investigation, and they're encouraging anyone with information to reach out to Greensboro Guilford Crime Stoppers for an anonymous tip, and that they can also make a tip through the P3 Tips app. Live in Greensboro, Celeste Smith, Fox 8 News.
If you have any information, good, bad, or ugly, about the whereabouts of Marissa Carmichael, contact Greensboro Police. I'll have their information in the show notes. I want to thank you so much for coming on the Trigger Want to Talk podcast. Thank you for being a guest. I want you to be safe. Everybody, be safe. Situational awareness is always important. It's very important that you maintain that. I don't care where you go. Anytime you leave your place of residence, it could be a house of worship, academic institution, industrial, commercial, residential place. If you went to your favorite grocery store or you went to a park, you need to maintain situational awareness. Take a CPR Stop the Bleed class. I teach all of them, not only for the Red Cross, the Heart Association, Health and Safety Institute, multiple certified in Stop the Bleed. We travel all across the country from the Carolinas to California teaching these training classes. For Khadija Luis,
Thank you.
LP out.
Thank you so much for having me, and God bless you. Thank you.